G'day, good evening, hello, I hope you're well. This is a study session for soil science and technology. I got an exam coming up today, and this is a little study session for it. So it was a university course, online course that I sat at the University of Institute of Technology in Kandahar, I think it is. And I'm just going to go through a few of these here. And what I do is I grab a little piece of paper or something, or I got this piece of cardboard, and I sit it over the left-hand column. So over here, where the answers are, I sit it over there so I can't see it. So when we get down here, say for instance, like number 3, I'll go up a bit, and then you can see you put the little bit of page over and you can't actually see the answers down there. So that's a way that I can study and sort of check myself. So I'm just going to go through here these dozen odd assignments and some multiple choice questions and see how it goes. So what's an effective diameter range of mesopause? So 0.3 to 0.8 over or over that. It's mesopause is the range, so it's 0.3 to 0.8. Which component of soil occupies 45% volume? Is it air, water, mineral matter, or organic matter? And it's mineral matter. It's 45% because organic's 5% and these two at 25%. Soil is an interface between the lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. Is that true or false? It's definitely true because it's been between the rock sphere, the water sphere, the atmosphere, and the living sphere. That's the which of the following particles have sticky and malleable properties? Sand and silt, silt and clay, clay, or all of the above? Answers clay. Which nutrients are mostly obtained from air and water? So out of the 17 essential nutrients for a plant, is it calcium, sulfur, magnesium, oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, copper, iron, cobalt, or all of the above? The answers B, O, C, and H. Carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. They make up 95% of the plant's nutritional requirements, all coming from the atmosphere. Which of the nutrient is used by plants mainly in the cationic form? So which one has a plus after its element? So phosphorus doesn't, sulfur doesn't, potassium does. Potassium is K plus, so it gets the check. Which is not physical weathering process? Exfoliation, freezing and thawing, dissolution, expansion, and contraction. So which one doesn't physically break down from weather? Exfoliate does. Dissolves, that's in a solution, not from weather. So it's C. Weathering doesn't involve both destructive and synthesis. True or false? False. Materials deposit from suspension or precipitate from solution are called igneous rock, magma rock, both A and B, or sedimentary rock. What about metamorphic? The answer is sedimentary. Chemical weathering is more prevalent in dry and cool climate, warm and moist climate, polar regions, or arid regions. And chemicals need water to break down, so it's in the warm and the moist regions. A horizon of soil consists of partially decomposed organic material. Is it true or false? A horizons are right up near the top and just underneath the O horizon, which is the first one, so it's true. How is the E horizon formed? Is it through alluviation, illuviation with an I, transformation, or none of the above? There's a bit of a hint there. They all end in ION, but it's alluviation. Which of the following is not a master soil horizon? C, Q, R, or A? So R is the bottom one with just above the bedrock. And we know about A, B, and C. So Q, I'd never heard of. In which season soil develops slower? Is it summer, autumn, in the rainy season, or the dry and the cold season? So which one breaks down slower? So when it's dry and cold, because you need water and you need heat. The study of soil as naturally occurring phenomena is called soil epiphysiology, soil mineralogy, pedology, or soil physics. The answer is pedology. Ped in Latin means, no, I can't quite. Is it soil? I think it's been foot. Anyway, that's something to do with the answer. Can't remember the Latin word, sorry. All right, under number 2. So I just adjusted my little correction thing there on the left. So which of the following is an example of zonal soil? Peat soils, clay soils, alluvial soils, or laterite soils? The answer is D, laterite. How many orders are there in the USDA soil classification system? So how many soil orders are there? Is it 2,500, 444, 68, or 12? The answer is 12. Soil classification based on a particle size distribution is called textural classification. So there's a bit of a hint, textural. So soil based is on the particle size. Is it called textural? It sure is, because it's made up of its texture. And the epidon that has above 1% organic matter is what system? Is it molic, histic, Pelagian, or anthropotic? Anthropotic. No, anthropic. Well, it's not anthropic. The answer is molic. Molic's nice and fertile. Which soil epidon is similar to molic epidon, but having less base saturation? Is it ocric, histric, umbric, or anthropic epidon? The answer is umbric. The triangle used in textural classification of soil, is it an isosceles, equilateral, scalene, or none of the above? Because you want the nice circles in each one, and they got to fit in the most equal triangle, which is the equilateral. Which soil order has a diagnostic permafrost layer? Which one's freezing? Andisols? No. Jellysols, histosols, or altisols? And it's jellysols. Which soil order has undergone extreme weathering and shows a presence of oxicides? Which one has heaps of oxidation? Aridosols, spodosols, utisols, or oxysols? And it's oxysols. Which soil order is found under grasslands, vegetations, forests? So which one's fertile as? So it's mollisoils, or aridosols, or vertisols, or alphasols. It's mollisoils. Sorry, I said that weird. Hue parameters tells us about the redness or yellowness of soil color. So the answer of that, does that tell you about, so Munsell's chart that this is referring to, is that true, what this is saying, the red and yellow, does it refer to soil color? Yes, it does. It's true. Relative proportion of sand, silt, and clay in soil is known as soil texture. Is that true or false? It's definitely true. Who gave the morphogenic system of soil classification? Was it Jenny, Dukachev, Marbot, or Baldwin? It's Marbot. Marbot gets the answer. What are the soil properties which are influenced by soil structure? Is it permeability, compressibility, the shear strength, or all of them? The answer is all of them. Which soil structure is usually found in compacted soils? Platy, blocky, columnar, or prismatic? The answer is platy. Which soil parameter cannot be altered? Soil structure, soil texture, both A and B, or neither can be altered. So which one can you alter? Can you alter the structure? No, not really. Can you alter the soil texture? Actually, you can alter the structure, and the texture is what it's made up of. So is it sand, silt, or clay? Can you alter that texture? Not really. So it's soil texture. Next one. The The tillage involves any working completed after primary tillage. What is this type of tillage that happens after primary tillage? Is it auxiliary tillage, secondary tillage, zero tillage, or none of the above? So it's secondary. How is bulk density calculated? Is it, well, you put it in the oven and you got to dry it, but by doing it for the calculation, is BD equal the mass of oven dry soil divided by the volume of the solids, or the volume of solids plus the pores, or volume of the air-filled pores, or is it divided by the volume of the water-filled pores? Well, its answer's B. B. One crop is planted in the residue of another, which virtually no tillage is apparent. So what would that be called? Primary tillage, secondary tillage, no-till, or none of the above? It's no-till. Most soils have a particle density of about 2.6 grams per cubic centimetre, or is it 2.9 grams, 2 grams, or 2.2? The answer is 2.6 grams per cubic centimetre. In conservation tillage, how much soil surface should be covered by residues? 10%, at least 20%, at least 30%, or at least 90%? The answer is at least 30%. What is the effective diameter of micropores? 2 mil, 5 mil, below 0.8 mil, or none of the above? So micro gives it away. It's not meso, it's micro, so it's below 0.08. Small micropores are called nanopores. Is that true or false? Well, they're pretty blooming small. They're in the micro, yep, so the answer's true. Matrix potential is always positive, negative, zero, or infinity. And it's always slightly, it is negative. Which potential develops due to the presence of solutes in water? Matrix potential, osmotic, hydrostatic, or gravitational potential? It's osmotic potential. Which one is not a component of water potential? Matrix, osmotic, hydrostatic, or pneumatic? Well, if you think about that, you can get the answer right, because pneumatics has got nothing to do with water. At pressure. What is the soil water potential in bars for 0 centimeters of height on a unit and a column of water? You can't have zero, so yes, you can have 0 bars. 1. No, it's 0 bars if it's 0 height. 0. TDR, time domain reflectometer, is used for measuring the water potential at a range of 0 to minus 80 kilopascals, 0 to 10 kilopascals, 0 to negative 10,000 kilopascals, or 0 to below negative 10,000 kilopascals. The answer is C. What will be the bulk density of 260? I'm not doing any math stuff. Well, to work out bulk density, you divide the dry weight by the wet weight, so to speak. It's the volume. So you divide that by that, and it's about half of that. So I'd be just looking at it. I'm not doing it. Next one. Should scroll down, actually. These are the other ones if you want to do them. I'm not going through them. In saturated flow, soil pores are completely filled with water. Is it true or false? If it's saturated, yes, it's true. In Darcy's law, KSAT stands for hydraulic conductivity, saturated hydraulic conductivity, water potential, or the length of the column. Answer's B. Saturated flow occurs downward, horizontal, upward, or all of the above. It happens all where. It's a cohesion tension theory. Which portion of soil water is available to plants? Maximum retention capacity and field capacity, maximum retentive capacity and permanent wilting point, field capacity, permanent wilting point, or field capacity to hygroscopic point? Answer C. Gravitational water is the main driver for leaching. True. Which soil has the highest wilting coefficient? Sand, silty loam, loam or clay? Answer's clay. The range of matrix potential in field capacity is 0 to 1 kilopascal, minus 10 to 30 kilopascal, to minus 30 kilopascal, minus 5 to minus 30 kilopascals, or all of the above. The answer is minus 10 to minus 30 kilopascals. The difference between field capacity and hygroscopic coefficient is termed as available water, capillary water, optimum zone, or gravitational water. It's capillary water. Fick's law states what? It's the inverse, directly proportional. I'm going to skim through these a bit because this is taking its time. I'm going to go a bit faster. Sorry for those people that like the podcast though, because that means I won't be reading them out as much. Gaseous exchange occurs by mass flow or diffusion. Well, it's both. In Penman's linear equation, the true orthodosity coefficient is 0.66. Loose, dry soil conducts more heat, does it? No. It radiates, gets rid of it. And here's some maths that I'm not going to go through. Sweet, next one. Clay and water is an example of what type of colloid? Is it a solid, a liquid? In what is it? It's a solid in liquid. Single or double chains of tetrahedra are called mesos, soros, inos, or phyllosilicates. It's inos. What is the criteria of isomorphic substitution? Well, the elements, they must be the same size for them to exchange in the clays. Which of the following clays have no swelling capacity? Well, which one's a 1-to-1? Is it keonolite or millerite? It's keonolite. Which of the following is an example of trioctahedral minerals? Phyllogite, muscovite. It's phyllogite. Phyllogite's a 1-to-1 trioctahedral mineral, is it? Is it? No. The keonolite is it 1-to-1? Is it nutrient poor? It doesn't shrink. Yeah, it's not very good. Not very good meat. No ice. Which of the following colloids has the highest cation exchange capacity? Smegtite, miculite, humus, or chlorite? Miculite. Which of the following statements is true? In the inner sphere complex, ions are tightly bound, or is it the outer sphere? It's the inner sphere. The unbuffered method of estimating the CEC measures, it's the effective cation exchange. It's that by measuring the unbuffered method. The CEC is expressed as a number of moles of percentage charge absorbed per unit mass. True or false? Sure is. Centimoles, usually expressed in. The strength and absorption of common cations on most colloids follows the order of, what's the bonding strength? Is it aluminium at the highest or the lowest? It's definitely the highest because that's what ends up usually. You get that very full on in your alkaline soils. So it's A. High potassium levels are known to limit the uptake of which element, even when sufficient quantities of magnesium are present in the soil. Magnesium. It should have said even when sufficient amount of quantities of this mineral are in the soil, because they sort of, that gave the answer there. Which soil has more leaching of pesticides? Clay, silt, sand, or loam? So it's sand, leaches out bad. Percentage of BS equals all of that. Is it true or false? It was a math thing, sorry, I'm not going to read it all. The electrostatic force depends on the charge, persistent charge, or the valency of the cations. It's all of them. Potential potential follows a linear distribution of the Helmholtz double layers. It's true. Assumption of the Goy-Chapman double layer is the surface is flat and the ions are assumed to be a point of charge. Which absorption isotherm is characterized by a solid having a high affinity for a solid? The H-type absorption isotherm. At very high concentrations, Xm becomes constant according to Langmuir's adsorption equation. Is it true or false? It's true. Which of the following isotherm models proposed for sorption processes? Freundlich. The greater the zeta potential, the more stable it is. The particles tend to repel each other. Is the answer. The acidity caused by the H plus and the aluminium ions in the exchangeable sites of soil materials contributes to active, residual, exchangeable, or potential acidity. It's exchangeable. The main source of acid rain are both sulfur and nitrogen from the forests. Lightning. It's actually all of them. It could also be cities, pollution. There's all sorts of carbon monoxide that's taken up. Everything goes up and gets dropped back down. It's not broken down. What are the characteristics of saline soil? A very good structure, it reckons. pH around 8.5. Yeah, high pH, yuck. A base saturation is, what is a base saturation? Is a proportion of CEC occupied in non-cations, non-acidic cations, or a proportion of acidic by acidic cations? It's non-acidic. The calcium carbonate precipitates at what pH? 7 to 8. The sodium absorption ratio gives information on the comparative concentrations of sodium, calcium, magnesium in soil solutions. True or false? It's so true. Alkaline stuff. What happens to the redox potential when soil is submerged? Well, redox is the reduction of oxygen. So if it's submerged, you're going to reduce the amount of oxygen. So it's going to decrease significantly. What's the relationship between redox potential EH and PE? The maths one. It's the square root 0.0591. Which of the following is a framework element for plants? Framework is the key. And is it nitrogen, magnesium, calcium, or carbon? So it's CHRO because it's the framework. So it's the carbon. Which of the following is or are considered a beneficial plant nutrient? Cobalt, silicon, calcium, or both A and B. So it's a beneficial, not essential. Because remember, there's 17 essential elements, but this is a beneficial one. And they say silicon's a quasi-element, so it's floating around as a beneficial like cobalt. Which one of the following is or are macronutrient? N, nitrogen, phosphorus, or sulfur, or all of the above? We know there's the macronutrients is the 6 of them. NPK, Cal, make sulfur. Which one of the following is a micronutrient? So is it carbon, Ca, copper, or calcium, or copper, or sulfur? So most of them aren't into the micros. They're in others. So it's not in the primaries. It's in the micros, secondary micros. It's copper. Which one of the following elements is a major constituent of organic plant materials like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats? So the backbone is a carbon. Major forms of inorganic nitrogen are ammonium or nitrate, or both. It's both. Denitrification and leaching are seen in ammonium or nitrate. And the key here is the cation and the anions charge, because you know soil has mostly a negative charge, so it can't be bound. so nitrate's going to leach you out of it. What is the site of nitrogen reduction? Peptides, amylase, nitrogenase, or protease? C. Plants of which family are famous for their distinct ability of nitrogen fixing in agricultural soils? Which one is it? So legumes have the little root nodules. Deficiency of phosphorus in plants cause what? Slight growth, stunted growth, bluish green leaves, early maturity, or all of them except C? And it's the first two they do, stunted growth and blue-green leaves. The organic form of phosphorus is nucleic acids. It's all tied up in DNA. So that's why there's so much bound in the ground that's unavailable. Like 40% is in the soils, usually unavailable, and you can keep planting and you can keep getting access to it. So there's abundance of phosphorus available. Which of the following statements are true or correct? I'm not going to read them. Sorry. Luxury consumption in plants is related to which nutrient? NPK. It's the K, potassium. Which of the following is a straight fertilizer? Meaning it's not blended or mixed or anything like that. Urea, ammonium sulfate, potassium sulfate, or all of them. It's all of them. The Haber-Bosch process was related to nitrogen. It's how they add temperature to ammonia and make the ammonium. The ideal number of soil samples to be collected in soil testing for 1 hectare is, as per the USDA, it's 20. What is the depth of sampling of grasses in grasslands? Well, it's their roots. How far the roots go down? 5 centimeters, 2 inches. Which extract is used to extract available nitrogen? It's available, not total. And you want potassium permangate. It's got to be alkaline. So you got to adjust the pH. Which element is not measured using a flame photometer? So phosphorus. A potassium oxide content in 200 grams per hectare in soil is considered as what amount? Is it good or bad? It's about medium. Which of the following is a rapid turnover carbon pool? Biomass, humin with an I, or char, or all of them. So it's carbons, a lot of biomass going on. So it's biomass. Which element is not measured using Melick 3 method? Nitrogen. Which organisms are known as the intestines of the earth? Some earthworms. Which fraction of soil organic matter is not soluble in water at all pH conditions? All. Because some of these are, well, fulvic is, and humic's a different pH, but human is at no pH. Microorganisms which are in the evolutionary phase between bacteria and fungi are commonly found in dry soils known as actinomyces. They're cool. Bacteria and fungi can also be classified as which type of organisms? Micro, macro, flora or fauna? Microfauna. Microflora. F-L-O-R-A. An environment under the influence of roots is known as the bio, litho, hydro, or rhizo. Which one's Latin for roots? It's rhizo. The indoor method of composting, how many times is the material turned before harvesting? It's 3. Takes, it's, what's it? 2 weeks, 1 month, and then at the second month, it's done pretty quick. Vermicompost is also called what? It's everything. Worm compost, vermicastings, worm manure. The most common important algae for the agricultural point of view is cyanophylleta, blue-green. Well, not many people watch this, so I'm going to give you my little hint. It's also Athrospiroplatensis. Look up that genus and species, or that species for that genus. You'll be very interested in it. Let's just say that. It works. Yes, that's all I'm going to say. Contact me if you want to know more. Which one is a chemical soil degradation process? Which one really degrades it? When it goes alkaline, it does. It just strips everything out of it, makes all the elements unavailable. pH is just too high. Which of the following is rain related in the universal soil loss equation? What's rainfall? The universal soil loss equation cannot predict the soil loss type. For which type? The sheets on top, the rills are lower, the gully's the lowest, which is the real big low things. So they're the ones, it's the gully. Soil loss tolerance, value T, for most agricultural soils in the US is how much per hectare? It's 11 megagrams per hectare. Sudden shear factor causing rapid downhill movement of soil is known as landslide. Wind erosion can be controlled by using which of the following measures? We want to control the wind by all types. The standard plot to reduce erosion should be what specification? It should be 22 meters long with 9 degrees steepness. In reduced tillage practices, at least what % of residues are left on the soil surface? 30. Which of the following is correctly related to geological erosion of soil erosion? It's all of them. Three processes involved in wind erosion are, what are the 3 processes? Detachment, transportation, and deposition. They detach it, transport it, and deposit it. The threshold velocity for wind required to initiate soil movement is usually what? It's got to be at least 25 k's an hour, or what's that, about 10 miles an hour. What is the effective conservation tillage of soil properties? What does it do? It increases the soil organic matter, which inevitably makes it sustainable. It can keep going. In tillage, the amount of certain soil that will be moved at the distance is moved depends on, what does it depend on? Design, depth, speed, all of them. Which of the following is a model that is used for the quantification of tillage erosion? It's the erosion model, the tillage erosion risk indicator model. Persistent organopollutants, also known as organochlorines, bad, pollute, can't get rid of. A surfactant's role is to act as a detergent, a wetting agent, an emulsifier. It's all of them. Which of the following statements is true about the KD coefficient for remediation of soil? It's all of them. Which of the following are examples of toxic inorganic substances in soil? Mercury, cadmium, or lead? We don't want any of them. Introducing special microbes which degrade the pollutant more readily than the native population are known as, it's bio-augmentation. When you add microbes to degrade it, because you're not stimulating it and you're not letting it naturally do it. Stimulating is putting in chemicals or other things, bios adding the living bio-augmentation. How can you reduce arsenic? A bit of zinc, iron, and aluminium gets rid of that. What does N stand for in the Scorpan model? It's location. The value of normalized difference vegetation index ranges between -1 to 1. Which of the following plant is more tolerant and resistant to toxins while simultaneously extracting the toxins from the soil? It's a hyperaccumulator plant. Remediation of soil organic pollution can be achieved by all those methods. It's worked so well. Nature's been doing it for years, millennia. What will be the value of the bioconcentration factor in the roots of the excluder plants? Well, you'd hope it's above 1 because you want it to accumulate. Most plants are bioaccumulators. Lushy vegetation can be differentiated from senescent vegetation by observing which of the following. Which peaks can you observe? The near infrared is what you want. When you looked on the, which of the following is not a character of a plant based on the responsive accumulation of high concentrations of metals in their roots? Well, it's includer plants. Which base map includes physical features and topographical details like contours and evaluations? It's a topographical map. Which order of soil survey is the most intense? First, second, third, or fourth? First, you've got to do so much. Get it already. The plant's leaves contain chlorophyll, which absorbs visible radiation. What's the range of that on the spectrometer? What microns? Is it 0.4 to 0.7 ring a bell? That's what chlorophyll, that's what they design lights for. But if you do look on, it does actually go above that 2,500. It goes quite up. Spatial variability, is it dependent on all of the above? The spatial prediction models can be statistical or empirical. Which of the following is empirical? Thiesen's polygon is. And in inverse distance interpolation, to ensure an unbiased interpolator, the sum of weights need to be equal to what value? To a value of 1. In a variogram, nugget implies, what does nugget reckon? Maximum distance, maximum variance, or the distance over which the data is absolutely correlated and unsampled? B. Diffuse reflection spectrometry can be used for which of the following parameters? Can be used for everything, mate. There's a better device to use now. Models of vibration in the mid-infrarange region are fundamental molecular vibrations. What is the use of spectralon panel in spectrometry? It's all of the above. In a portable XRF meter, the scanning time is 60 to 90 seconds. In a PXRF, can be measured. What can measure it? We can measure everything, mate. Every single thing, or all of that. Everything except, what does it do? The soil organic carbon. That's about it. Oh, I can do everything else though. From Planck's law, it can be, yeah, I want one of them. I haven't got one. They're only 30,000 or 27,000 US dollars, I think. From Planck's law, it can be concluded that, and it's both A and C. I have to wrap this up. What should be the property of a good estimator? All of them. Vis and NIR spectrometry works in the range. What nanometer range does it work in? 350 to 2,500. In the GISS models, how many layers happen? 2. And what about the vector points in the GISS models? What can they be described as? All of the above. Points, lines, and polygons. In GISS, the accuracy of the database is described by the parameters of local accuracy, constituency, and completeness. What does the positional accuracy show? How close the features are to the real-world location. Lin's concordance correlation coefficient is a single statistic that evaluates what of the relationship? Its accuracy and precision. And what about the Lin's concordance correlation coefficient is referred to as what type of goodness does it fit along? What line, angle? So that's 45 degrees. How is the coefficient of determination R squared measured? It's SS reg divided by SS total. And a least squares estimation minimizes the reg or residual SS. It's a residual. Which of the following is this data subsetting method of model validation? All of them can validate models. Which method of validation is preferable when there's scarce data? You want the LOOCV. CART, C-A-R-T, produces either classification or regression trees. Regression trees are used in which of the following cases? Continuous. My hand's so small. What will be the Gin value index when all classes belong to the same? Zero. Nil. what will be the what will be the maximum value of the gin index when all classifications are equally represented? 0.5. When the value of entropy is 0, what does it represent? It's most pure class when it's at 0. In a random forest regression model, the prediction is calculated at what? The sum, the median, the square root, or the average? Average. In regression cringing, the value of the target variable at some locations can be modeled by using what? It's the sum of the totemic and the stochastic components. The difference between how much agreement is actually present compared to how much agreement would be expected to present by chance alone is known as, it's the kappa coefficient. The kappa coefficient of 0.35 indicates, how good is it? Fair, moderate, substantial, perfect? It's moderate. Which soil property is most widely used as grouping criteria for developing class pedo transfer functions? Moisture, texture, color, or soil temperature? Soil texture is the answer. All right, thank you for this study sesh. I hope it's been useful to you. If you have any questions, you're welcome to drop some questions for me and I'll try and give you some detailed answers. I hope everybody does well in your exams and I'll speak to you next time. Happy growing, happy breeding, and good health to you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.